Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And this episode is about names on the back of jerseys. Geez, hasn't that been in the social media news of late, especially this week, last week, and by a number of social media creators, including myself. I put up a post the other day on the Instagram site saying, would you like to see names on the back of jerseys, yes or no? Now, there is a few things that we need to consider for this. I guess it has to be one in, all in. If one club is going to do it, then maybe all clubs should do it. Depends on the size of the name on the jersey, where the name goes on the back of the jersey. Now, myself, growing up in watching rugby league in the 80s, I used to love seeing the names on the back of the State of Origin jerseys. That's where I first saw names on the back of jerseys, and it's probably where the first names on back of jerseys were. And I guess it probably was thinking back then, I guess maybe, why do they have them in State of Origin and not so much in club football? Well, I guess thinking back to that now, I guess it's probably because back then State of Origin wasn't the big juggernaut it is now. So I guess they didn't have a back of jersey sponsor for those jerseys back in the 80s and early 90s until they did start having back of jersey sponsors up the top. And so it was probably perfect to have a name on the jersey, and I guess it probably meant something really special to the players as well to have their name on the back of the jersey representing New South Wales or Queensland in State of Origin. So that's where I first saw names on the back of jerseys, and probably where most people saw names on the back of jerseys as well. But coming back to Clubland, it's something that has been raised, I think it was from the Bulldogs CEO earlier last week, and about the possibility of doing it. Now, there has been talk about this before as well from all, I guess, rugby league content creators. And so it's not a new thing that has been brought out, but it just really has been put in the news last week. So I thought, why not? I'll have my little 2 cents worth as well. And look, as I said, I put up a post the other day on Instagram and also Facebook, so please give me a follow on that one in terms of the Para Cave podcast. I'd really appreciate that one. Now, I guess for me, I like to wear what the players wear on the field. So if I was to buy a Parramatta Eels jersey, I like it to be the same as what I see on field. So if they were, and I have very rarely got numbers put on the back of my jerseys. It's just probably something that I don't do. When I first started my very first jersey, which still hangs in the Para Cave, I did get a number 7 put on the back, and it's still distinctly, faintly still on the back of that. And then a few other jerseys as well that I have in the Para Cave do have numbers on them. There is a Nathan Highmarsh jersey. I've got a number... not a Nathan Highmarsh jersey, just a Parramatta Eels jersey with a number 11 on the back. I also have one of the older 90s jerseys. I put a number 6 on the back. So I have put them on in the past, but I must say recently I haven't got numbers on the back. It's just something I guess I don't know that I do. These days, I don't really have a massive favourite player of Parramatta. As I did back in the day with like Hindmarsh and Sterling when I was growing up watching rugby league, and I haven't really had a favourite player as such, so I haven't dedicated myself to get a number on the back. Look, if I was to choose a number anyway, I'd probably I'd probably just get the number because of the number. I'd probably choose 11, maybe 9. I used to junior rugby league. I used to play hooker, so maybe number 9, number 6 as well. Number 7 is pretty synonymous with the Parramatta Eels, so if they were the numbers I'd probably get those ones. Now, look, just to some of the comments that on the post that I did. Look, majority of them were a yes. People would love to see them on the back of jerseys. So that was a pretty common response that I got on the post, that it was a yes, and some even went that far to say definitely yes, so they were all for it. There was one person who said, no, if you're a real supporter, you know who your team are by looking at them. If it's the opposition team, they don't care. There was a big no from somebody. No, and may want to look at the size of players' numbers on the back. Are they going to be any smaller? So that's the other thing that needs to be put into consideration as well. Are you going to have a bottom of jersey sponsor and also a top of jersey sponsor? And then you have to have a number in the middle, obviously, as to identify which players are playing in which positions. And then how big is the name going to be on the jersey? Now, that's another consideration as well. I must say, personally, recently with the State of Origin jerseys from New South Wales, I have noticed that the names on there have looked a little small, in my opinion, over the last few years. So it depends again on how big that name is on that jersey. Just looking through a few more of the comments, some people would never put a name on the back of their jerseys. Don't need the name. The number says it all. Also, I have, if you need names on jerseys to identify who it is, and I suggest you go watch cricket or soccer, fair enough. I'm not a fan of more clutter on the shirt, so that's another thing to can think of as well. One interesting point that was raised was someone said only for the grand final. Now, that one is, I guess, pretty interesting. I think that could be a good thing. We used to see previously grand final patches, which is, I guess, another podcast again in the future, another consideration as well. But having your name on the back of a grand final jersey, that would be pretty special indeed, wouldn't it? It's pretty special to play in a grand final. Obviously, definitely special if you win a grand final. But also, if you had your name on the back of your jersey that you played in a grand final, how special would that be? I mean, think of some players obviously never get to play in a grand final. But what about those players that play in one grand final? If they had their name on the back of that jersey, that would mean so special. And some players don't get the opportunity to play State of Origin football, but I like that point. I really like that point about having only for the grand final. Another one I think is from an English rugby league fan, Parramatta fan. They have them in the Super League. They also have a squad number against it. And another point that they raise as well would be how many players would ask for a percentage if they sold more than other players. So that's a very interesting one as well. Look, I don't know if they would come pre-made with the number on the back. I think that would be something that you would get put onto the jersey, the name on the back of the jersey. I don't know if they would come pre-made like that, if you know what I mean. I guess you would have to get that put on at a sports store. So maybe that's the way they would go around it. Although, in saying that, maybe potentially they would release these jerseys with the names already on the back. So would the players get a percentage? They would have to get a percentage of those jerseys sold. But then again, that would that raise a little bit of an issue as well, because you would have your popular players within a team, and then you would have your not so popular players, I guess, within a team. Or is it just like an added bonus? So, I mean, if you can get some jersey sales with your name on the back, is that just like a bonus? I mean, it doesn't have to be something that's in writing, I guess, but I guess you could say that it would be just a bonus instead of something that can be added onto your contract money, I guess, a little bit of a percentage as well. But so I think they were some of the comments that I received. Look, if it's done the right way, I guess I could be a fan of it. As I said, I would probably just like to buy and wear a jersey that the players wear on the field. So if the players wear one on the field, then potentially maybe I would have to get a jersey with a name on the back and a number. That's something that probably I would have to probably look at, I guess. But then again, I wouldn't have to, I don't think, if they didn't have those jerseys already made up. So, like, for example, if it was a number 7 jersey to have Moses on the back, but then you would also have the times where, like, if he's injured like last year, or if he's playing State of Origin football, you would have someone else step into that number 7 jersey. You'd have Dylan Brown step into that 7 jersey. I hope not, because 7 is not his position. But like last year, he did do that, and you'd have another player step into that number 7 jersey. So then do they have a number 7 jersey with their name on the back as well? Or do you have to get that one specially made for that? So that would be something that would be quite interesting. It would also throw up a very interesting thing as well if names were on the back as well, and that would be who throughout not only Parramatta but the whole competition, who would sell the most jerseys at a club, I guess, with their name on the back. That would certainly be pretty interesting. We will see in the Allstars game coming up. That's another example coming up this weekend. That will be another example of where jerseys names are on the back of jerseys, and I guess that would probably be because of many players coming together, maybe fans not necessarily knowing who they are, so they've got their names on the back of the jersey. So that would be something that will be on show on the weekend. And so look, at that would be a very interesting one. Who do you think would be at Parramatta the most famous, or not the most famous, but the most selling jersey with their name on the back? Or would you get your own name put on the back? I mean, that would be a pretty... You could pretend that you're a player of that team, maybe. So that would be something different. A few other comments that have come through is sometimes when you're sitting in the nosebleed of sections of stadiums, players look like ants and it's very hard to distinguish them. So it would be a yes to have names on the back. One comment is a massive no. The number identifies the position and player. Sponsorship keeps clubs going, and sponsorship, not players' names, in my opinion. Now, that is a very interesting point as well. I guess also too, it would depend on your back of jersey sponsor and what that looks like on the jersey currently. There was a social media post, I think it was from the NRL Bulldogs, that about this topic, and they have KFC written on the top of their back of jersey. Now, that's only a really small sponsorship on the back, and look, in my opinion, it looked quite neat. It would depend on the sponsor, I guess, that you would have on your back of jersey. Parramatta at the moment presently have A-Land on the back, on their back of jerseys. Would you, and that could take up a little bit of room. I mean, I did that post and I did some mock-up jerseys, the home and away, with my name on the back of jerseys, and number 2 on the back of each jerseys. And one of the comments was, "You're definitely not a winger," which is correct. I'm definitely not a winger, but they are the numbers that I just found on Google, so I just got them put on the back there, and put my name on the back of the jersey. Now, I'll put that in capital letters as well, and that's another thing too. I guess it depends on what sort of font you're going to use on the back of jersey, but that sponsorship up the top, it depends on, I guess, what that looks like, how big that is. So a lot of consideration to go into that one as well. What it would look like on there. Another one saying that some players look similar from a distance, so maybe yes. Someone actually mentioned that names should be on the front also too. Now, I don't know about that one, but they do agree with the names on the back of jerseys. If you know the players and surely the team you follow, they are not needed. So that is probably a good point as well. Another point as well, think it's unique to representative football. So, yeah, I guess that is a little bit unique to rep football, and probably a little bit, I guess you could say, maybe special as well, more special, if that's a word, I guess, or a couple of words there. Is it more special to a player and their family and their friends if it's a representative jersey with their names on the back, like State of Origin, like the Allstars, that their name is on the back of the jersey? Potentially, yes. But I go back to that other point that someone else made as well, grand finals. That would be probably pretty special as well, to have the name on the back of the jersey as well. So, look, a bit of a mixed reaction. A few people have said fans or supporters of the team should know their team members, so names are not needed. So, look, a bit of support for the names. A lot of support actually for the names, but some people have said no, they don't need names on the back. So the majority of people on Instagram, so you can follow the Paracay podcast on Instagram, would love this idea. Yes, with flames. A big yes. So, and depends on how they can distribute the extra costs associated. So, and they also mentioned too that my great mate Tom from Retro Rugby League, he did a great video on it as well. He knows all about the jerseys as well. So, look, majority of people have said yes, that they would like to see the idea, but look, there's still a few ideas to get noticed. I mean, people say about the NBA and the NFL, they've got the names on the back of their jerseys. Well, they don't have sponsorships on the back of their jerseys, and look, they are massive entities, the NBA and the NFL. So they probably don't have to worry about sponsorship as much as what an NRL club would do. their back of jersey sponsorship, I guess, would cost $500,000. I'm only guessing at that. If you can get 2 sponsors on the back of your jersey, potentially $1 million. Obviously, the front jersey sponsor is the most important one and the most costly one. But if you had to give up one of those sponsorships on the back, then potentially you are losing money. But a lot of people have said that you won't have to give up money as well, because you could still have the sponsor on the back of jersey. You could have the name, number, and you could have 2 sponsors on the back of jersey. So, look, it's a very interesting debate, and it's a great debate. Look, there's many a podcast out there talking about this on social media. Even some of the rugby league media are talking about this as well. It is a talking point, so I just thought I'd jump on and give my opinion. Look, and as I said, my opinion would be I like to wear and buy the jerseys that players wear on field. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're player-worn jerseys, obviously. Just the replica jerseys that you can buy, the retail versions. But so, look, if they came with a name and number, look, who knows? Maybe I would pick a player. I'd probably pick Will Penasini. I do like Will as a player. Or I might just go back to those traditional numbers, 9, 7, 6, 11. So just because I like those numbers. So that's maybe what I would do. But I dare say that they would probably... It could also be an extra cost thing in a jersey as well, because as I mentioned before, maybe those jerseys won't come with the names already written on them. You may have to get them put onto the jersey. So you would have to get the number put on, you'd have to get the name put on as well. So that's an extra cost involved in jerseys as well. So that's what someone else mentioned as well. So I think if that is the case, then the cost of the jersey would have to come down to incorporate that jersey, because you're paying $170 now for a jersey, NRL jersey, which in my opinion and many others is way too high. So you'd have to lower that cost in terms of getting that name and number put onto that jersey. But I just thought I'd jump on, have my say. Everyone else is having theirs, so I thought I would have mine. Let me know what your thoughts are. Send me a message on Instagram or Facebook about what your thoughts are, or comment on the posts that I've put on there. And look, we'll see what happens. Who knows? It may be something done in the future. Just one thing that I did quickly think of is, what about if the teams going to Las Vegas, if they had the names on the back of their jerseys? That would be pretty special, I think, and it possibly could help out the American public as well, identifying players within those teams that are playing over there in England, in Las Vegas, on that weekend of the opening weekend of the NRL competition. So maybe that could be something relatable to them, as I mentioned before, they have them on the back of the baseball, NFL, NBA jerseys. So maybe that could be something that the Las Vegas teams going over there could do. They could have the names on the back of their jerseys somewhere to help the American public. Who knows? But I just thought I'd jump on, have my say. It's something that has been going around. So look, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And look, there's plenty more content coming out on the Paracave podcast. It's getting closer to NRL season. At the time of this recording, there's only 29 days until Parramatta plays their first game. So 22 days until round 1 of the NRL over there in Las Vegas. So it is about 3 weeks away. So getting very excited. Cannot wait for this competition to start. Just quickly, I will be at the Sports Shed TV charity rugby league game that is happening at Ringrose Park at Wentworthville on Sunday. So if you see me out and about, come and say good day. Would love to meet some listeners, have a chat. I do know that my counterparts, Hayden and Adam Martin from the Talking Para podcast, are playing in that game against each other, so that will be very interesting to see what happens there between those two. I know Adam has put a target on Hayden, so that will be really interesting to see what happens in that game between my two Talking Para counterparts. So I will be there on the Sunday, so if you see me out and about, come and say good day. Also, Tom from Retro Rugby League, he will be playing as well, so be interested to see how he goes as well. But get down there on Sunday, Ringrose Park at Wentworthville, 3 p.m. kickoff for the main game. A few former NRL players also playing in that game, Mitchell Pearce, Todd Carney and Blake Austin as well. So come and say good day. Let's chat footy. It's getting closer. I'm getting excited. And the Para Cave podcast, the podcast by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.